The dining room lights seemed too bright, too harsh, as my brother Derek held up my phone for everyone to see, his voice booming across the turkey and mashed potatoes. Look what I found on Ethan's phone. Text with some guy named Liam. He's been lying to us all this time about who he really is. My mother's fork clattered to her plate. Dad's face turned stone gray, and my sister Sarah froze mid-bite while Uncle Tom muttered something under his breath. In that single moment, the secret I had guarded for 8 years ripped open like a wound, exposing everything I feared most right there at Thanksgiving dinner in our suburban Chicago home. I stood up so fast the chair scraped against the hardwood, my heart hammering against my ribs. "Derek, give that back." I managed, but my voice cracked. The phone screen glowed with messages I knew by heart. Liam's good morning texts, our plans for a quiet weekend hike, the silly inside jokes that kept me sane through long days at the graphic design firm downtown. Derek just smirked, his wife clutching their toddler tighter, as if I were suddenly dangerous. Mom's eyes filled with tears she didn't let fall. "Ethan, is this true?" she whispered, and the question landed like a punch. I couldn't breathe. The room spun with the smell of roasted turkey and cinnamon candles, the same scents that had meant safety my whole life. Now they choked me. I grabbed my jacket from the hook by the door and bolted outside into the crisp November air, leaving behind the chaos of raised voices and my mother calling my name. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Derek must have tossed it after me, but I didn't check it. All I could think was how one careless moment, one unlocked screen while I helped in the kitchen, had destroyed the careful wall I'd built between my two worlds. The drive back to my apartment in Logan Square blurred through tears I refused to shed. Chicago's skyline twinkled in the distance, indifferent to the storm inside me. I had always been the responsible son, the one who graduated with honors, landed a solid job at a respected agency, sent money home when Dad's construction business slowed down. Being gay wasn't part of that picture. Not for my blue-collar family that still quoted Bible verses at Sunday dinners and voted the same ticket every election. Liam and I had been so careful. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue 2 years ago, kept things private, never posted photos, never held hands in public. It worked because it had to, until tonight. By the time I reached my building, my hands were shaking so badly I dropped my keys twice. Inside, the apartment felt too quiet, too empty without Liam's laughter filling it. He was spending Thanksgiving with his own family across town, a progressive bunch who had welcomed me with open arms last Christmas. I sank onto the couch and finally opened the messages. Dozens from Derek already. "You owe Mom an explanation. How could you do this to us?" And one from Sarah. "Call me when you can. I love you." That last one cracked something inside me. I dialed Liam before I could second guess. His voice came through warm and steady. "Hey, babe, everything okay? You sound off." I told him everything in a rush, the words tumbling out between sobs I couldn't hold back anymore. He didn't interrupt, just listened, then said, "I'm coming over. You're not alone in this." Hanging up, I stared at the framed photo on my shelf. Us at Millennium Park last summer, arms around each other but angled so no one could tell. It had felt like freedom then. Now it felt like evidence. The next hours passed in a haze. Liam arrived with coffee and a hug that lasted until my breathing evened out. We sat on the floor surrounded by takeout containers, talking through the night. He reminded me of the nights we'd spent planning a future where I didn't have to hide, the way his students looked up to him as an openly gay teacher. "This hurts like hell," he said quietly, "but maybe it's the push you needed." I wanted to believe him. But the image of Mom's face kept replaying, and I wondered if any push was worth losing the only family I'd ever known. By morning, exhaustion finally pulled me under. When I woke, sunlight streamed through the blinds, and Liam was already making eggs in the tiny kitchen. My phone had 20 missed calls, mostly from Derek. I ignored them. For the first time, I let myself feel the anger beneath the fear. Derek hadn't just stumbled on my phone. He'd gone through it while I was basting the turkey. Why? The question gnawed at me as I ate, as Liam kissed my forehead and left for work. I had to face them eventually. But today I would start with the truth I owed myself. The days that followed blurred into a painful rhythm. Work became my escape, buried in client revisions and color palettes of the downtown studio. But whispers followed me there too. Someone from accounting had heard through a cousin's friend. The sideways glances stung more than I expected. At lunch, my coworker Marcus pulled me aside. "Dude, if you need to talk, I'm here. My brother came out last year. Family's still figuring it out." His kindness almost broke me. I thanked him and retreated to the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face until the mirror stopped showing a scared kid. Mom called on Tuesday. Her voice was small. "We need to talk, honey. Come home this weekend." I agreed, even though every nerve screamed no. Liam offered to come with me, but I said no. This was my mess. Driving back to the suburbs Friday night, the familiar strip malls and quiet streets felt foreign. Derek's truck was already in the driveway. I parked and sat there for 10 minutes, steeling myself. When I walked in, the house smelled like fresh coffee instead of holiday cheer. Mom hugged me too tight. Dad nodded from his recliner, but didn't speak. Sarah gave me a small smile. Derek crossed his arms, jaw set. We sat at the same table where everything had shattered. Mom started. "We love you, Ethan. But this lifestyle is not what we raised you for." Her words landed heavy. I listened, then spoke for the first time since that night. "It's not a lifestyle, Mom. It's who I am. And I've been terrified of losing all of you because of it." Dad finally looked at me. "We just want what's best." Derek snorted. Best would have been not lying for years. The anger I'd been swallowing rose fast. "You went through my phone, Derek. That's not protecting the family. That's invading it." He stood up. "I did it because you were living a lie that could hurt everyone." The room went quiet again. I left before anyone could say more, but something shifted inside me. For the first time, I wasn't just ashamed. I was furious. The weekend stretched into an emotional battlefield I hadn't prepared for. Saturday morning, Sarah cornered me in the kitchen while I poured coffee. "I don't care who you love," she whispered, "but Mom cried all night after you left last time. Dad's barely speaking, and Derek, he keeps saying he was trying to help." I stared into my mug. Help. The word tasted bitter. Liam texted me pictures of his class's Thanksgiving leftovers project. Kids gluing paper feathers to construction paper turkeys. "Thinking of you," the caption read. It grounded me enough to breathe. By afternoon, the family reconvened in the living room like we were negotiating a treaty. Dad cleared his throat. "Your mother and I talked. We don't understand it, but we're not kicking you out of the family." Relief flooded me, so hard my knees felt weak. Then Derek opened his mouth. "But you owe us honesty from now on. No more secrets. And maybe counseling." The suggestion landed like a slap. I looked at my brother, the same guy who taught me to ride a bike, who stood up for me when kids teased me in middle school. Now he looked at me like I was broken. "Counseling to fix what, exactly?" I asked quietly. He shrugged. "To make better choices." Mom winced. I stood up. "I'm not choosing this like I choose coffee in the morning. This is me." The conversation spiraled. Dad mentioned church friends who dealt with similar things. Sarah tried to mediate, but ended up crying. I excused myself to the backyard, the same swing set where Derek and I used to race. My phone buzzed, Liam again. I answered on the first ring. "They're trying," I told him, voice thick. "But Derek keeps pushing this narrative that I'm the problem." Liam's calm voice cut through the noise in my head. "You're not the problem. You're finally telling the truth. That's brave." We talked until the cold seeped through my jacket. When I went back inside, Derek was gone. Mom hugged me again. "Give us time," she said. I nodded, but time felt like a luxury I wasn't sure I had. Sunday morning brought church, something I hadn't attended in years. Mom asked me to come for her sake. I went. The pastor's sermon on honesty felt pointed, though maybe it was just my guilt talking. Afterward, old neighbors offered awkward smiles. One aunt pulled me aside. "We all have struggles, dear." Her pity burned worse than outright rejection. Driving back to the city, I replayed every word. The support from Sarah and Mom was real, fragile, but real. Dad's silence hurt more than words. And Derek's anger felt personal in a way I couldn't name yet. At work Monday, the whispers had quieted, but Marcus invited me to grab drinks after shift with a couple other guys from the creative team. I almost said no, then remembered Liam's words about building my own support. The bar was loud, neon lights reflecting off polished wood. Over craft beer, The conversation turned surprisingly easy. One guy, Jordan, shared his own coming-out story from 10 years ago. Family took 5 years to come around, he said. But they did. Some of them. The stories wrapped around me like a blanket. For the first time since Thanksgiving, I laughed, really laughed, without looking over my shoulder. Liam met me after. We walked along the river walk, city lights dancing on the water. "You look lighter," he observed, squeezing my hand in the shadows where no one could see. I told him about the weekend, about Derek's push for counseling. Liam stopped walking. "That's not love talking. That's fear." We kissed then, quick and hidden, but it felt like a promise. Back at my apartment, we cooked pasta together, the normalcy healing something raw inside me. Later, curled on the couch watching an old movie, I realized the fear was still there, but it no longer owned me. Tuesday brought the first real crack in my resolve. Derek called. "We need to talk." Alone. I met him at a coffee shop near his office downtown. He looked tired, dark circles under his eyes. "I didn't mean for it to blow up like that," he started. "But Mom deserves to know the truth before you drag the whole family through whatever this is." I listened, then asked the question that had been burning. "Why were you even on my phone, Derek?" He shifted. "You left it on the counter. I saw notifications. I was worried." The excuse felt thin. We argued in hushed tones until the barista gave us side-eye. When I left, nothing was resolved, but I saw something new in his eyes, defensiveness that looked a lot like guilt. The rest of the week passed in small victories. I updated my social media profile with a photo of Liam and me at a museum. Nothing explicit, just two guys smiling. Comments poured in from friends I hadn't told. Supportive ones. A few radio silence. Liam's family invited me for a casual dinner midweek, their easy acceptance a balm. His mom hugged me extra tight. "We're so glad Ethan's part of the family now, officially." The word family hit differently. By Friday, I felt strong enough to call Mom. We talked for an hour. She cried again, but this time she asked questions, real ones about Liam, about how long we'd been together. "He sounds kind," she said at the end. It wasn't full acceptance, but it was a door cracking open. I hung up feeling lighter than I had in weeks. Then Sarah texted a photo of her and Mom baking cookies together. "Miss you. Come soon." I smiled at the screen. Progress. Slow, painful, but real. Derek stayed quiet. Too quiet. I told Liam about the coffee shop meeting. He frowned. "Something's off with him. Keep your eyes open." I brushed it off, but the seed of doubt planted itself. Work deadlines piled up, and I threw myself into them, designing a campaign for a local LGBTQ center, ironically enough. The irony made me chuckle. Life had a sense of humor. Saturday night, Liam and I finally had the quiet date we'd planned before everything exploded. A movie at the small theater near my place, then Thai food. Holding hands under the table felt revolutionary. No more hiding in plain sight. On the walk home, snow started falling, soft flakes catching the streetlights. "I'm proud of you," Liam said, stopping under a lamppost. We kissed right there, snow melting on our jackets. For the first time since Thanksgiving, I believed I might actually be okay. But Sunday morning, the text from Derek arrived. Family meeting. Sunday dinner. No excuses. My stomach dropped. The fragile piece felt suddenly paper thin. I showed Liam the message. He hugged me from behind. "Whatever happens, we face it together." I nodded, but inside the old fear stirred again. Derek wasn't done, and something told me the real storm was only beginning. Sunday dinner loomed like a storm cloud. I drove out with Liam beside me this time. He insisted. Moral support, he called it. The house looked the same, porch light glowing warmly, but tension crackled the moment we stepped inside. Mom greeted Liam with a hesitant smile and a handshake that turned into a quick hug. "Nice to finally meet you properly," she said. Dad shook his hand firmly, but avoided eye contact. Sarah pulled me into a side hug. Derek sat at the head of the table like he owned the place, his wife shooting me a look that mixed pity and judgment. We ate pot, roast in near silence, until Derek cleared his throat. "We need to address the elephant in the room. Ethan, bringing your friend here is one thing, but we have to think about the kids, the family reputation." Liam's hand found mine under the table, steadying me. I met Derek's eyes. Liam isn't an elephant. He's my partner. And the kids, your kids, deserve to know their uncle is happy and honest. Sarah nodded. Mom looked torn. Dad pushed food around his plate. The argument built slowly, voices rising then falling as Mom tried to keep peace. Derek kept circling back to the lifestyle and how it would affect family holidays, church picnics, everything. Each word chipped at the progress we'd made. I finally stood. I'm not asking you to march in parades. I'm asking you to love me the same way you did last month. The room went quiet. Liam spoke then, calm and measured. I love your son. I respect your family. But Ethan doesn't need fixing. Derek opened his mouth, but Mom cut him off. Enough. We're all hurting here. Let's eat. The rest of the meal passed in strained small talk. Later, in the kitchen helping with dishes, Mom whispered, "He's a nice man. Give us time." It was the closest she'd come to acceptance. I hugged her, the scent of her perfume bringing back 1,000 childhood memories. Driving home, Liam and I processed everything. Your brother's scared, he said. Not of you, of what this means for him somehow. I didn't understand then, but the words stuck. The next week at work felt lighter. I finished the LGBTQ Center campaign and presented it to the team. Applause rippled through the room. Marcus clapped me on the back. You nailed the tone. Authentic. The validation warmed me. After work, Liam and I met at the park for a run. Sweat and endorphins cleared my head. We collapsed on a bench, laughing about nothing. This is what normal feels like, I told him. He grinned. Normal looks good on you. Midweek, Sarah called. Derek's been acting weird, snapping at everyone, staying late at the office. Mom's worried. I brushed it off as stress from his accounting job, but the unease grew. Friday night brought another family text, this time from Dad. Proud of the work you're doing, son. Come by soon. Short, but it meant everything. I showed Liam. He kissed my temple. See? Doors are opening. Saturday, Derek showed up at my apartment unannounced. Liam was at a teacher conference, so I faced him alone. He looked wrecked. We need to talk about the business, he said without preamble. Our family construction company, Dad's pride, had been struggling. I invited him in. Over coffee, he admitted he'd been skimming small amounts to cover gambling debts he'd hidden from his wife. When I saw your phone, I thought if everyone focused on you, they wouldn't look at the books. The confession hit like a truck. You outed me to cover your tracks? My voice rose. He nodded, eyes on the floor. It was stupid. I'm sorry. But now the books are being audited because Mom asked questions after the holiday blow-up. Everything's coming out. Anger and pity warred inside me. This was the truth behind the betrayal, the real reason my world had shattered. I didn't forgive him on the spot, but I didn't throw him out either. You have to tell them, I said. He left looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. That night, Liam listened as I recounted everything. He pays the price now, Liam said softly. But you get to decide what forgiveness looks like. I lay awake long after he fell asleep, the weight of years of hiding lifting slowly. The betrayer's secret had shattered his own world more than mine. Sunday brunch with Liam's family felt like a different universe. Laughter, inside jokes, open affection. His dad asked about my work, genuinely interested. I realized family could look like this too. Driving back, I made a decision. I would tell my parents about Derek's confession myself if he didn't. No more secrets, mine or anyone else's. The emotional roller coaster had taught me that truth, painful as it was the only path forward. Work the next week flew by with new projects. I even joined the company's softball team, something I'd avoided before. Small steps toward living openly. By Thursday, Derek texted, told them everything. Mom's devastated, but they're talking to a counselor together. I'm moving out for a bit. I'm sorry, Ethan. Really. Relief mixed with sadness. The family was fracturing, but maybe it needed to so it could heal stronger. Liam and I celebrated quietly with wine on the balcony, city lights sparkling below. You're stronger than you know, he told me. I believe him now. The internal crisis that began at Thanksgiving was evolving into something like peace. But the real test, full family reconciliation, still waited on the horizon. The holidays approached faster than I expected. Christmas lights went up along Michigan Avenue, and the city buzzed with forced cheer. I spent long hours at the office finalizing year-end campaigns, using the busyness to avoid the knot in my stomach about family dinner plans. Derek had moved into a small apartment near his office, his wife and kids staying with their parents while they sorted things. Mom called every few days now, her voice softer each time. "We're seeing a family therapist," she confided one evening. "Your father's opening up more than I thought he would." The news lifted a weight I hadn't realized I still carried. Liam and I decorated my apartment together one Saturday, stringing lights around the windows and arguing playfully over where to put the tiny tree. His laughter filled the rooms in a way that made the space feel like home for the first time. We talked about spending Christmas Eve with his family and Christmas Day trying my parents again. "Only if you're ready," he said, hanging an ornament. I was. The betrayal that started everything had forced me to grow in ways I never planned. Work brought its own quiet victories. The LGBTQ Center campaign launched online and received positive local press. My boss pulled me aside. "Great work, Ethan. The authenticity shows." Coming from her, it meant something. Marcus invited the team to a holiday party at his place. I brought Liam openly. No hiding. Conversations flowed easily, and for the first time, I didn't scan the room for judgment. Driving home that night, snow dusting the windshield, Liam squeezed my knee. "You're shining, you know that." The week before Christmas, Derek reached out. "Can we meet? Just us." We grabbed lunch at a diner near the river. He looked thinner, eyes clearer. "The audit's done. I'm paying everything back over time. Wife's giving me a chance, but it's rough." He paused. "I was jealous, Ethan. You always seem to have it together. Job, future." When I saw those messages, I snapped. Thought exposing you would make me feel less like a failure. The honesty stunned me. We sat in silence for a while. "I'm not asking for instant forgiveness," he added. "Just maybe one day." I nodded. One day. It wasn't everything, but it was a start. Christmas Eve at Liam's family was warm chaos. Kids running around, carols playing, food piled high. His mom pulled me aside. "You've brought out the best in him." Her words wrapped around me like the scarf she knitted me. Christmas morning, we drove to my parents' house with gifts and cautious hope. The driveway had fresh snow, and lights twinkled on the porch. Inside, the tree stood tall, presents underneath. Mom hugged Liam first this time. Dad shook his hand longer. Sarah had made her famous cinnamon rolls. Derek arrived later, alone, but he brought flowers for Mom. Dinner passed with careful conversation, work, weather, sports. No big declarations. Afterward, Dad pulled me aside in the garage where he kept his tools. "I'm sorry I went quiet. Didn't know how to talk about it. But you're my son. Always." Tears stung my eyes. Mom joined us. "We're learning." Slowly, Derek watched from the doorway, saying nothing, but his expression had softened. The afternoon ended with board games and laughter that felt genuine. Driving home, Liam and I held hands the whole way. "That was huge," he said. I agreed. New Year's Eve brought reflection. Liam and I hosted a small gathering. Marcus, Sarah, a couple friends. At midnight, fireworks lit the sky over the lake. I kissed Liam on the balcony, the city celebrating below. "Here's the truth," I whispered. He smiled. And to us, January settled into a new rhythm. Therapy for me. Individual sessions to process the identity crisis I'd buried so long. Liam supported every step. Work promotions loomed, and I applied for a senior designer role without hesitation. Mid-January, the family business restructuring forced more talks. Derek's mistakes had consequences. He stepped down from his position, but the company survived. Mom started a book club with Sarah and invited me and Liam to join sometimes. Small bridges. One cold Saturday, we all met for brunch downtown. No drama, just pancakes and stories. Derek even joked about his new job search. The healing wasn't linear, but it was happening. February brought Valentine's Day. Liam surprised me with tickets to a show downtown. We dressed up, held hands openly in the theater. Afterward, walking Michigan Avenue, he stopped under the bean. "I'm in this for the long haul, Ethan. Whatever comes." I kiss him right there, tourist be damned. The romantic moment felt earned after months of turmoil. Back home, we talked late into the night about future plans, maybe moving to a bigger place together, traveling. The internal storms had calmed into steady confidence. March arrived with longer days. I volunteered at the LGBTQ center whose campaign I designed. Helping others navigate coming out gave my journey new meaning. Liam's students threw him a surprise appreciation party. I attended as his partner. The acceptance from strangers and friends alike reinforced what I was learning. Love wasn't the problem. Fear was. Derek called one evening. I'm going to counseling too. For real this time. Pride for him mixed with my own growth. The betrayer was paying his price, but in doing so, he'd forced all of us to face truths we needed. Spring training for softball started. I dragged Liam to practices. We laughed through missed catches and bad pitches. Life felt balanced. Work, love, family slowly mending. The crisis that began with a phone screen had reshaped me into someone braver, more honest. I no longer hid pieces of myself, and in that freedom, I found peace I never knew existed. Spring brought blooming trees along the lakefront and a new energy to the city. I threw myself into training for a half marathon Liam had signed us up for, the runs clearing my mind of lingering doubts. Work promoted me to senior designer, the raise allowing us to look at condos closer to the lake. Liam's teaching contract renewed with a raise too. Life hummed along, but the family situation still required gentle tending. Mom started inviting us to Sunday dinners more regularly. One evening in April, Derek showed up with his wife and kid. The little boy, my nephew, ran straight to me, asking about the fun uncle story Sarah had told him. Watching Derek watch us, I saw genuine regret in his eyes. After dinner, he pulled me aside on the porch. The business audit wrapped. I'm on a repayment plan. Wife and I are in couples therapy. It's hard, but we're trying. I clapped his shoulder. Proud of you for owning it. The word surprised us both. Forgiveness wasn't complete, but it was growing roots. May brought the half marathon. We crossed the finish line together, sweaty and laughing, medals around our necks. Sarah cheered from the sidelines with Mom and Dad. Even Derek showed up late, clapping awkwardly. The family picture afterward, me, Liam, all of them, felt like a milestone. That night, Liam and I collapsed on the couch. We made it through the worst, he said. I traced patterns on his arm and came out stronger. June arrived with Pride Month celebrations. I marched in the parade for the first time, Liam beside me, holding a sign that read, "Love is love." My family didn't march, but Sarah sent photos from the sidelines and Mom texted, "Be safe and have fun." Small steps, but steps. At the after-party, friends from work mingled with Liam's colleagues. Marcus introduced his new boyfriend. The sense of community wrapped around me like the summer breeze. Derek's turning point came in late June. He called one evening, voice shaky. I told the whole extended family about my mistakes. No more hiding from me either. The irony wasn't lost on any of us. His confession had started the chain reaction that exposed my secret, but now his own truth was healing the fractures he'd caused. We met for coffee the next day. You forced me to look at myself, he admitted. I hated you for it first. Now, thank you. We hugged for the first time in months. The betrayer had paid dearly. Lost position, strained marriage, self-respect. But in paying, he'd begun rebuilding. July 4th weekend, the whole family gathered at a lake house Dad rented. Fireworks lit the sky while we roasted marshmallows. Liam fit seamlessly, teaching my nephew card tricks. Derek and I sat on the dock later, feet in the water. I almost destroyed us, he said quietly. But you held it together. I shook my head. We all did. The conversation flowed easier than ever. Mom joined us, wrapping an arm around each of us. My boys, she whispered. Dad waved from the porch, smiling. Sarah snapped pictures. The image captured everything. The conflict, the growth, the love underneath. Back in the city, life settled into beautiful routine. Liam and I signed a lease on a bigger place with a balcony overlooking the park. Moving boxes filled the apartment, but laughter filled the spaces between. Work projects thrived. I led a team now, mentoring younger designers on authenticity and branding. One afternoon, a junior asked about my journey. I shared the condensed version. Her eyes widened. That took courage. It did, and it still did every day. August brought vacation. 2 weeks in Michigan with Liam's family and mine overlapping for a weekend. Beach days, bonfires, stories until late. Derek's wife laughed at my terrible esmores. The kids built sandcastles. No tension, just sun and salt air. Driving home, Liam rested his head on my shoulder. This is our life now. I smiled. The internal war that began at Thanksgiving had ended in quiet victory. September brought back-to-school energy. Liam dove into new lesson plans while I prepared for a big client pitch. Family therapy sessions continued, but lighter now. One evening, Mom asked Liam about his students. Dad asked me about work deadlines. Normal conversations that once seemed impossible. Derek joined virtually from his new apartment, looking healthier. The price he paid had reshaped him into someone humbler, more present. October painted the city in fall colors. We carved pumpkins at my parents' house. Derek brought his family. The kids giggled as Liam helped with the messy insides. Standing back, watching everyone together, I felt the full weight of the journey lift. The shocking exposure that shattered my world had ultimately rebuilt it stronger. Relationships deeper, self-acceptance solid, love unhidden. The betrayer's truth had cost him dearly, but in the end, it gave us all a chance at real honesty. November rolled around again, 1 year since the dinner that changed everything. The family gathered at the same table, but the energy felt entirely different. Turkey roasted golden, laughter echoed off the walls, and Liam sat beside me openly, his hand resting on my knee under the table. Derek carved the bird, his movement steady now. His wife smiled across at Mom, who passed the gravy with a wink. Sarah snapped photos for the group chat. Dad raised a glass. To family, flaws and all. We clinked, the sound warm and full. After dinner, we moved to the living room for coffee and pie. Derek cleared his throat. I want to say something. Last year, I made the worst mistake of my life. I hurt Ethan because I was drowning in my own mess. I'm still paying for it, but I'm grateful it forced us all to be real. The room went quiet in a good way. Mom reached over and squeezed his hand. We're healing together. I met my brother's eyes. We're good, man. Really. The forgiveness felt complete now, earned through time and truth. Later that night, Liam and I drove home through light snow, the city lights blurring softly. Remember last Thanksgiving? He asked. I laughed. Hard to forget. We parked and walked up to our new balcony, snowflakes catching in our hair. You pulled me close. I'm so proud of the man you've become. We kissed under the string lights we'd hung together, the moment romantic and peaceful, the kind of happiness I once thought I'd never have openly. The year had taught me that identity crises don't end in one dramatic reveal. They unfold in quiet choices every day. Choosing honesty over fear. Choosing love over secrecy. Choosing growth over resentment. My family's acceptance wasn't perfect, but it was real. Derek's consequences, financial repayment, strained but mending marriage, lost status, served as a reminder that betrayal carries weight. Yet even he had grown. Society's prejudices still existed outside our circle, but inside it, we'd built something stronger. Work continued to thrive. I mentored a new group of designers, sharing pieces of my story when appropriate. Liam's students voted him Teacher of the Year. We planned a trip to New York for spring, our first big vacation as an open couple. Family dinners became monthly traditions, rotating houses. Sarah brought her new girlfriend one evening, and the table welcomed her without missing a beat. Progress. As winter deepened, I reflected often on the journey. The hook that started it all, the phone screen, the gasps, the flight into the night, had led to the best version of myself. Liam and I decorated for Christmas early, hanging stockings with our names side by side. Mom sent care packages. Derek called weekly now, checking in like old times but better. The betrayer had paid, but we had all gained. On New Year's Eve again, surrounded by friends and family at a rooftop party, I raised my glass. To truth, love, and second chances. Cheers rose into the cold air. Liam kissed me as fireworks exploded overhead. The emotional growth, the relationships rebuilt, the identity embraced fully. It was all worth it. True or false. Betrayal in the name of protecting family honor can ever be justified if it ultimately leads to greater honesty and stronger bonds for everyone involved?